always love being able to pinpoint the very moment that a game has sold me. When the game crosses over the line from more or less enjoyable to the realms of this is something I'm going to be giddily talking people's ears off about for a while. I'm thinking of the music video in the middle of The Altars, or the music video at the start of Pirate Yakuza, or the first time you go back in time in Return of the Obra Dinn, to give an example that isn't music video related. And on the other end of the scale, I also love being able to pinpoint the moment a game completely shits its pants. The moment when I know that there is nothing the game can do now to restore my faith in it. It's also cathartic, just not in quite the same way. It's a sort of feeling of relief, knowing I don't have to put the effort into keeping an open mind now, and that I'll have plenty of material for the upcoming review. Examples include the ending of 12 Minutes, and the first time in Ride to Hell Retribution, where the main character reaches fully clothed screaming orgasm with a random lady. The electrifying game is good moment and the opinion-souring game is shite moment, the twin Valkyries that carry games from the marshes of mediocrity, whether it be the joyous Elysian fields of love or the energizing angry Tartarus of hate. Or so I thought. Until recently I thought a game could only ever go to one or the other, but Hollow Knight Silksong is something unprecedented, a game with both an elevating moment and a condemning moment, and they're both in Act 2 of the game. I have a sneaking suspicion that some of you may already have predicted the two moments I have in mind. The first one, the good one, the bit that really made me take a step back and go wow, I officially like this game, was of course a boss fight around the beginning of Act 2. Let's all say it together. 3, 2, 1, the Cogwork Dancers. We as Hornet penetrate to the heart of a weird forbidding techno cathedral where we can't help noticing we've been fighting a lot of mechanical enemies for the first time. Background storytelling. And the first major boss fight we run into is between two identical robot, I want to say, praying mantises, who proceed to jump around the room in a regular rhythm, always telegraphing the direction they're about to move in with a glowing line. You might have guessed from the first paragraph of this essay that I'm a sucker for a game successfully integrating gameplay with music, and there's something automatically spellbinding about the way the dancers rhythmically move in time with the beat, and it does a lot to enforce the clockwork theme running through everything. It's not a particularly difficult boss fight. I mean, figuring out how to read incoming attacks is most of the job in Souls-like boss fights, and these fuckers do all the work for you, telegraphing everything so hard they might as well be using loudhailers. But it does get harder in the second and third phase. For the second phase, the dancers return to their charge stations for a second, and then the gears speed up and they fight exactly as before, but on double time, so you've got to shake a leg to get out of their way. And then in the third phase, they stop moving simultaneously. One moves on the beat and the other on the off-beat, so now you're reacting to one thing at a time, but twice as fast. And things did start getting proper hairy then. It was always the off-beats that fucked me up in Guitar Hero, but by keeping my focus, I got through the third phase when one of the two dancers obligingly died, and I was standing there waiting for my pat on the head when the remaining dancer returned to their station and then started shaking like they were about to come out again. Oh bullshit, don't tell me there's a fourth phase, I cried aloud. 3's the magic number, fuckface. Nobody tells Englishmen, Irishmen, Scotsmen and Welshmen jokes. But then the surviving robot comes out and its movement patterns haven't changed. It continues what it was doing in the last round, except by itself. It does all the moves for the routines that require two of them, but with the other conspicuously missing, and the subsequent battle was consequently much easier with just one of them to worry about, but so easy it felt weirdly unsporting. It really emphasized the sense that we were in the middle of a giant machine, ticking away indifferently to us and our problems, and I also felt strangely bad watching this machine keep going through the motions, not even aware that I had destroyed its partner. It evoked the idea that all the splendor that surrounded me was a hollow facade, still twitching and dancing with no real understanding of what it was doing, and I was an agent of destruction, forcing an unwanted dose of harsh reality upon the locals. So it was not only an interesting twist on the established gameplay, but a jolly compelling and understated moment of interactive narrative that assured me that I was in the safe hands of true artists. Now let's talk about the bit where everything fucked up. The thing about Souls-likes is that they're at their best sticking to one-on-one combat. The boss fights with huge weirdos are traditionally the centerpieces of such games. It's about focusing on one enemy, watching for their tells and reacting accordingly, sort of the diametric opposite of Dynasty Warriors. While Souls-likes frequently do have you fight more than one dude at a time, they have to be very careful about how they do it. The Cogwork Dancers is a perfect example. It's practically based entirely around there being two of them. There's a reason Ornstein and Smaug is the most notorious boss fight in vanilla Dark Souls. The simple addition of having to worry about a second dude and their tells makes the fight exponentially more complicated, in accordance with the square cube law. And boss fights are also traditionally opportunities to enjoy a little splash of character and gameplay design that's an interesting break from the day-to-day mob fighting. As such, most players react poorly to something that's presented as a boss fight but is actually just a multitude of standard dudes. Dark Souls 2 has a few of these: Prowling Magus, Royal Rat Vanguard, the Gank Squad with the three lads, and without wishing to draw too fine a line, nobody likes them. Silksong has a bit of a Gank Squad problem. In virtually every area there's at least one bit where you're locked in a room and have to fight 3 or 4 rounds of 3 or 4 of the local standard mobs, and it is a pain in the arse because the process of making careful reactions and watching for tells that drives the normal boss fights is replaced with so many different potential scenarios for who's going where and when that it's practically total chaos. But I was putting up with it. I mean, if each part of the game wants to have a little showcase of its dudes like it's entering the Eurovision Song Contest, fine. At least we get plenty of practice fighting standard mobs, but then comes the second act. After defeating the cogwork dancers, we're required to gather 3 components of a song. One behind a boss fight, one behind a puzzle and platforming gauntlet, and the final one is behind what seems at first to be another gang squad room. I was faced with 4 rounds of standard baddies and then a big mini-boss dude. Annoying already because I had to beat the 4 rounds of regular losers before I could even begin learning the tactics to use against the big lad, but I finally defeated him after a few attempts, only to be astonished when another round of standard enemies leapt in. Then a 6th, then a 7th. 10 fucking rounds, concluding with having to fight 2 of the mini-boss from round 5. 10 is even less the magic number than 4. No one tells Englishman, Irishman, Scotsman, Welshman, Yorkshireman, Cornishman, Liverpudlian, Mancunian, Geordie, whatever they call people who live on the Isle of Wight, jokes. I was stuck on this encounter for hours. I don't even get to the final round every 5 or 6 attempts and would then have a matter of seconds to experiment with tactics before getting pounded into hornet gravy. I'm not complaining that it was hard, I'm complaining that it was hard in a very boring way. No interesting character designs or curveballs beyond rearranging the sequences of baddies round to round. This was more than just a speed bump. This was right up there with the ending of 12 minutes, a moment that totally poisoned my feelings about a game that up until that point had been broadly speaking tough but fair. After I finally beat it and brought the 3 songs to the centre of the cathedral, I was immediately brought to another boss fight in a flower field with that recurring fencer lady. I made an attempt, she killed me, and on the way back to her I realised I was going to have to take a slow elevator ride for every attempt at the fight. And finally I broke. Ugh, I can't be bothered, I said aloud, and have not returned to the game since. After that one gauntlet, I literally went back to the already written draft of my Silksong review and rewrote it to end on a more negative note. And of course I got it in the neck from the commenters. Of course you had trouble with it. It hadn't explored every area, acquired all the possible upgrades, and pulled that one lever in that one secret room that makes all the enemies' bollocks fall off. I had other shit to do, alright? And besides, from everything I've heard, the Act 2 High Halls gauntlet is only the tip of the bullshit iceberg that awaits in the back half of the game. To return to the point, please understand what an unprecedented thing this is. It used to be so simple. Some games go into my top 5, some into my bottom 5, and some into the bland 5. What the fuck kind of list do I use for a game that I think is really good, well designed, and artistically compelling, but which I also hate and don't recommend? I'm not about to start an ambivalent 5 list. It'll just be Silksong and then every game by Hideo Kojima.
This video is brought to you by Once Upon a Galaxy, the collectible card battler that hooked us earlier in the year on mobile, and it's now available on Steam. From the team that helped create Magic the Gathering and Hearthstone, Galaxy is fast-paced, free-to-play and fun, which are 3 of the 4 most important Fs in the English language, and I'll let you guess what the final one is. It's fun. You'll put together a crew of iconic characters from across myth, legend and fiction, like Lightning Man, King Deceiver, and Whale Obsessor, in the most satisfying team-up since the combination of Pizza Hut and Taco Bell in one building. Yum? Question mark? If you like your games easy to pick up but incredibly deep to master, then Once Upon a Galaxy is for you. So what are you waiting for? Head over to Steam or your mobile app store of choice to start putting your Once Upon a Galaxy crew together today.